Hey everyone, this is Monica from Tranquil Living, where we teach you how to turn your chaos into calm. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the first chapter of my book, What Does Tranquil Living Actually Mean? Stick around. Well, I don't know about you, but I feel like tranquil living means something different to every person. And the thing is, to each their own. What I find tranquil, someone else might not. So it's really important for us to know the most important thing of living a tranquil life is to live the life that you want to live. It's not about living life according to other people. It's not about doing things that other people around you are doing. If they're doing something and you find it inspiring and you want to do it, then go for it. But don't think that you have to live the same life as someone else. But how do we know what life we want to live? I know, especially when I was in my 20s, I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do when I grew up. I feel like you never grow up. I'm in my early 40s now, and I feel like year by year, I am developing different habits and routines and different ways of living than I would have ever thought or imagined before. And that's okay. We're developing. You have a whole life to develop, and you have a whole life to decide what you actually want for your life. What I was doing and thinking in my 20s is completely different now that I'm in my 40s, and that's absolutely fine. The thing about tranquil living is that you have to be adaptable, you have to be flexible, and you have to be creative. So knowing that 5 years from now, you might be doing things completely different. Your space might look completely different. Your home might be in a different country or a different place within the country that you're in. Allowing ourselves the flexibility to be who we want to be and be who we really are in the moment, that is all part of tranquil living. Another aspect of living a tranquil life is living your best life within the space that you have. Now, I am quite fortunate to have a space that I have room to explore. I have room to do the things that I'm passionate about, but I didn't always have a living space that was as big, spacious as the one I have now. When I'm thinking about my first apartment when I first moved out when I was 18, it was teeny tiny and there wasn't a lot of space to do a lot of things. But I also think back to that apartment and I had huge furniture. I had furniture that I didn't even use. I had a dining room table that no one sat at. It became a clutter piled mess because every time I came home, I had stuff in my hand. It went on the dining room table because it wasn't being used for anything else. So over the course of the years, I've learned what furniture I actually need to buy, how I can arrange the things in my house to do the things that I want to do. So living the life that you want within the space that you have, but also engineering the space to suit the needs that you have today. That's definitely part of tranquil living. Like I said, I am on a journey. What I was doing at 20 is completely different than what I'm doing now. The best thing about your 40s is I feel like you end up feeling like you have things a little bit figured out. But then just as that feeling comes around, something happens, something changes, maybe it's a move, maybe it's a marriage, maybe it's the birth of another child. Things just throw you for a loop, but maintaining tranquility is about getting back to who you are, what your values are, and how you want to live the life that you're currently in. I know a lot of people are curious about me and how I maintain a tranquil life at home. There are six main components I feel to living a tranquil life. I'll go through each one and give you some examples of what I do within those categories and how I maintain tranquility at this age of my life right now. So I would be remiss to say that organizing my space and my things obviously is a very important one for me. That's what this channel is for. That's what the book is that I'm writing. And it's really important for me to meet all the other things in my life that make my life more tranquil. Without the organizational component, I can't do all the other things. And I think this is one thing that a lot of people miss out on. You can have great goals. You can have even the resilience and the inspiration to do things. But without organized systems in order to make them happen, oftentimes you get back on the hamster wheel and you let the chaos overwhelm your life. So organizing my space, organizing my things, and organizing my mind to how I can live the specific life that I want, that's one of the huge ways that I maintain tranquility. Moving your body, that is number two. I feel like it's one of the most important things for me. All of these are super important, so it's hard to put them in order, but I feel like moving your body, moving my body, that has been something that I have really struggled with since I stopped dancing. So when I was little, my mom put me in different types of dance classes, and I danced from the time that I was 4 until I was 16. And then I, went to Zumba and did different things when I was in high school, but I wasn't competitively dancing anymore. Since then, in my 20s, I have always found it difficult to find time to actually move my body. I did yoga, I exercised, I used to go to the gym, I would walk, but I never seemed to be able to really keep the habit until I reorganized my spaces and reorganized my calendar in such a way that I could actually keep that habit. Now, some people, moving their body is easy for them and they do it without any effort. But for me, this is the one that I struggle with the most. However, especially since getting into my 40s, I feel like this is the one that makes or breaks me. If I am not moving my body, I instantly feel a difference in my body. I feel unwell. I'm unmotivated to do different things. So this one, after organization, I feel like this one for me is one of the most important ones that I have to do in order to maintain that tranquility. So I was in the classroom with students for 13 years. Before that, I was a retail manager in America, actually. And learning has something that I have always found was a really great way for me to just maintain stillness in me. So the more and more that I learn and the more that I understand, I feel like the less chaotic my mind is. So if there's a lot of things that I don't know and I don't know how they function, or I don't know how they work, or whatever, I find that that goes in my mind again and again. If I read and I understand something, then it's sort of like it closes that chapter for me and I can move on to learning something else. As I was in the classroom teaching, I realized that learning is not something that obviously you only do as a child, but how you learn to learn as a child will very much influence the whole rest of your life. So my main goal for when I was teaching is to make sure that kids love learning, whatever they're learning. So if kids are more science oriented, or they love math, or they love painting, or whatever it was, we really tried to hone in on however type of learning they liked so that we could use that in all the other aspects of things that they might not like. Learning to learn is something that I have thought a lot about over the years. Being open-minded, knowing that you don't know everything, I think that is one of the biggest things that has helped me to utilize learning as a way to maintain tranquility in my life. Cleansing is not something that I really thought much about until I was probably in my mid to late 20s. I consumed a lot of processed foods when I was younger, and that food became more and more readily available as I aged. So I felt that I was consuming it more and more. In addition to this, I drank alcohol, I was not getting enough sleep, and I was not eating in the way that I should. So all of these things made it so that my body had accumulated a lot of waste. Now, after moving to India, I really found out a lot of different ways to cleanse the body that I hadn't even thought about before. But basically, I eat healthy now. I only eat whole foods, and I went purely organic when I was 25. Afterwards, I was still eating things that were not the best for my body. A lot of things on the internet, even in books and things, it'll tell you things are great, but when I was eating it, I was not feeling great. So I was cutting things from my diet that I was more mindful was affecting my body in negative ways. I started doing different types of cleansing techniques here that I learned in India, but I was also cleansing my thoughts. I was doing meditation, and I was allowing there to be some time and space for just silence, and I wasn't filling my mind with a whole bunch of media and other things. So I was cleansing in many different ways, and some of those ways I hadn't really thought about or learned about until I moved here to India. Connecting with myself, with nature, with other people, these are all things that humans are hardwired for. We're hardwired for connection. And when we don't get that connection, we oftentimes feel very chaotic, very isolated, sometimes lonely, and most of the time unhealthy. So over the course of my lifetime, I have developed certain habits and routines that make it so that I am connecting with nature every day. I'm connecting with myself every day, whether that be when I'm doing yoga, whether I'm doing a physical activity, whether I'm meditating, whether I'm journaling, saying what I'm grateful for, and then also connecting with those around me. I have a husband at home, so I'm constantly talking to him and making connections, but I'm also overseas. So making time to call my parents and call my brother's kids and things like that, making those connections online, those are things that also bring me a lot of joy in my life. I saved the last one because I think this one just encapsulates me as a person. That is creating. I am a very creative person. Thankfully, my mother and grandmother raised me in an environment that really wanted creativity to shine in any and all ways that it could. I was very fortunate as a child to grow up in the environment that I did so that I could push boundaries and make mistakes and try creative trials and tribulations until I figured out different things. Later on in life, as a primary school teacher, creativity was the name of the game. You know, we did not have a lot of resources in a lot of the schools that I worked at. Figuring out how to use things in many different ways, thinking about how to organize the classroom in such a way that 25 plus children were able to, function and feel safe and feel inspired. That has really driven me in my personal life as well to be creative, to think outside the box, and to engineer my spaces so that they really meet the needs of my husband and I. So no matter what, every single day I am creating something. I have lots of different hobbies and ways that I actually create, which are all outlined in my book. You can read about those. But creating definitely is one way that I have to maintain tranquility. So to end, tranquility is different for every person. But to me, to be tranquil is this feeling of completeness. It's a feeling that things are working out the way that you feel that they should be working out, but also this feeling that anything is possible. Like there's an openness in tranquility, that things are complete, but also there's an option, there's a way to do things. It's an open mind, it's an openness that things can be more than they are right now. And you're okay with that. It's to feel whole, but also to feel like there's endless possibilities that you can have for your life. In order to live a more tranquil life, it's important that you keep in mind that your life isn't your own and you only have one life. Now, that might sound cheesy, but it's true. I am in my early 40s, as I've said, and I know that I am living the exact life that I'm supposed to be living because I am engineering my life in the way that I want to. And the way that I'm doing that is by using this tranquil living system again and again in order to meet the needs of my husband and I at this point. Now, who knows what's going to happen in 5 years, in 10 years? Who knows if we'll still be in India or we'll be living in a different country, what I'll be doing for work. Who knows? The life is limitless and there are so many possibilities. But this system will stay with me for the rest of my life. And I hope that you will learn more about the system in the next videos. See you then.